Hello, Abnormal Investigations. This is your 8 o'clock drop. I hope you enjoyed this one as much as you did the first one. I hope they're at least educational. And if you have not checked out the AI Seeking the Truth video today, guys, I would ask that you go over and check it out. It's a pretty good one, too. And subscribe if you haven't subscribed over there, guys. It's a really good channel. A lot of freaky stuff over there. A lot of different things, Wendigos and stuff. So, AI Seeking the Truth, guys, our backup channel. Let's get into this encounter. Hello, Mike. Thank you for choosing to share my encounter. I inherited a log cabin from my uncle that has passed. I have been enjoying it a lot. It's acreage for me, and everything is just a good change. And my wife, well, she loves to change too, and we've always lived in the city all of our life. Oh, it starts out, I'm sitting on my porch sipping lemonade and gazing out into the rolling hills. We just moved out in the country, and I'm loving every minute of it. Our closest neighbor is up over the hill from us, so it's peaceful and quiet. I can see the deer grazing in the meadow and the sun shining down on the creek. It's a mighty fine view. Let me tell you, we're fixing up the old homestead, getting settled in and making it our own. I'm feeling like a true Montanan now, living life at a slower pace and enjoying the simple things. It's a beautiful life out here in the big sky country. We had a neighbor that lived just over the hill in an old log cabin. I shouldn't say we had. We still do, I guess. I told my wife we should go introduce ourselves. I knocked on the old front door after we had walked to his house up and over the hill, and an old Native American man opened the door. He had a kind face and a gentle smile, with wrinkles etched into his skin from years of living under the sun. He introduced himself as Grey Wolf, and my wife Sarah shook his hand and introduced herself. I followed suit, feeling a little shy, but also curious. Grey Wolf invited us in, and we sat down at his kitchen table, surrounded by the smell of wood, smoke, and sage. He offered us some tea, and we chatted for a while, getting to know each other. He told us stories about the land, the animals, and his people. We listened, and we was entranced, feeling like we were sitting at the feet of the wise elder. It was a special moment, one that I'll always treasure. He offered us some tea, and it was a very good tea, but the longer we drank it, well, we started feeling a little different. We walked home, and when we got home, we didn't feel quite well. We both felt a little off, like we'd had too much to drink, but we'd only had that tea at Grey Wolf's. I was feeling dizzy, and my head was spinning, and Sarah was rubbing her head and set her temples like she had had a headache. We looked at each other, wondering what was going on. Must have been something in the water, I said, trying to laugh it off, but Sarah just looked at me with a curious expression, like she was thinking something different. You don't think, she started to say, but then she trailed off. I knew what she was thinking, though we both were, well, I don't know. That tea had been something special, something more than just a drink, I think. I woke up hearing something as we went to bed. I went to the window and I looked out, and there was a white wolf sitting in the yard howling. I rubbed my eyes thinking it was just a dream, but when I looked again, the wolf was still there. Its eyes, they glimmered in the moon like embers in the dark, and its howl sent shivers down my spine, and it was looking right at our window like it knew I was going to look. I felt a strange connection to that animal, like it was trying to tell me something. I woke Sarah up, and we both sat there watching the wolf. It didn't seem afraid of us, just sat there howling at the moon. We watched it until it disappeared into the trees, leaving us with more fear than what we had already had, being newcomers to the woods. What was that wolf doing here, and what did it have to do with Grey Wolf? Did it have something to do with Grey Wolf and his tea we were talking? Surely not. But then the wolf entered back into the yard, and we were amazed at how beautiful this wolf was. It looked at us. Then the wolf stood on its two legs, turned, and walked back into the woods. I was having such a hard time staying awake, I had to lay down, and so did Sarah. I fell into a deep sleep, like I'd been hit with a ton of bricks. I don't remember any dreams, just nothing. Nothing until the next morning when I woke up feeling groggy and disoriented. Sarah was already up making coffee in the kitchen. She looked at me with concerned expression like she knew something I didn't. "Are you okay?" she asked me. I nodded to her, still trying to shake off the fogginess, but I looked out the window and saw something that made my heart skip a beat even more that night. Or I'm sorry, that day. There, in the same spot where the wolf had been, was a small pile of feathers. White feathers like they'd been plucked from an angel's wings. That night I looked out there, and there it was again, standing on two legs, staring out our window, howling like it was trying to get our attention. I had readied my hunting rifle. I grabbed my .30-30 and I shot at it. It yelped, and it ran into the woods. I was shaking, my heart racing like a jackrabbit. Sarah was screaming at me, and hell, I didn't even think I'd actually even hit the thing. "What did you do? What did you do?" I couldn't even answer. I just stood there with the rifle in my hand, shaking and trembling. We both knew that it wasn't an ordinary wolf. It was like it was something else, something that didn't even want to be seen. But hell, it had to want to be seen, Mike. It was standing there howling, staring at our window. And then, like nothing had happened, the yard was quiet again. The only sound was the echo of my shot bouncing off the hills. I knew I'd made a mistake, something that would come back to haunt me probably. And as I looked at Sarah, I saw fear in her eyes, the fear that I've never seen in her eyes before. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. I knew then that I'd shot Grey Wolf, the kind of old man who had shared his tea and wisdom with us. I stumbled back into our cabin, my mind reeling with guilt and shame. Sarah, she looked at my face and knew that something was wrong. I couldn't even speak. I felt like I'd crossed a line into the world, where nothing made sense and Grey Wolf's words haunted me. Maybe you shouldn't, you know? I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't do that. I don't understand. And Grey Wolf's words haunted me from the night before. I'd remembered what he had said. You shouldn't go hunting monsters that you don't want hunting you. Was this a warning? Was the wolf a monster, or was I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd made a terrible mistake. Mike, do you think that I killed something? Do you think that I shot Grey Wolf? Do you think that's what happened to him? I don't understand. Because the next day we went over to his house to warn him what was going on, and he had his arm in a sling. And I couldn't help but notice that where I'd shot the wolf, I thought that I'd hit him in the shoulder. And then, yes, my mind started playing tricks on me, and I got really scared, and he looked at me and asked me if I was okay, as I was having a slight panic attack. And I told him, "I'm not feeling well, I gotta go home." And as I was running off, he said to me something I will never forget. "I told you you shouldn't be hunting monsters you don't want hunting you." Mike, I'll never know for sure, but I think it was a little bit of both. Maybe the tea. Grey Wolf was definitely something special, something mystical. And that tea, I think that tea had something to do with it, Mike. I'm not sure. We're now living back in the city in our old house. We still own the property out there, and we do want to move back there, but we're not sure what to do. Any help would sure help us out, because I love the woods, and so does my wife, but I can't stand living by something I don't know what it is. Is this guy some creature? Do we need to talk to him again? I don't understand. That right there is a pretty deep encounter. I think I would go back to my property if I wanted to live there. I would put lights and cameras up like we do with everything else to keep them at bay. I would pray over my land and ask God to bless my land. I'd go to all four corners of it and bless it with the Lord, and plead the blood of Christ on it. And maybe just leave that guy alone. See if he comes to your house. And if he can't cross the barrier that you set when you pray, then I would say that he's nothing good, and you probably don't need to be around him anyways. That's just a little bit of my opinion. Guys, thank you for listening to this. Thank you for smashing the like button. And don't forget, this Saturday night, I am going to try to get out and get boots on the ground for you guys. And we'll have a huge premiere. And go check out AI Seeking the Truth, guys. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.